What up, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome to another episode of Drop the Mic here on the Fins Tailgate. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Mike on the mic. Tonight, got a special guest. I'll introduce him in a little bit. Very dear to my heart. We're going to be covering the state of the team today, getting his opinion on that, ask him a little bit about Tua. We're going to go down. I'm going to talk about the interviews today from the players, some of the Miami Dolphin awards that were given out, the team awards that were voted on by the team. And we're just going to, have some fun. And like, this is the tailgate party that never stops. So those of you on Facebook, if you're watching us, jump over on YouTube. We're going to put a link in the comments so you can jump in, get on the screen, or just, if you want your voice heard, we got you. That's the place to come. If you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, y'all please be sure to jump over to YouTube. And the biggest thing, man, for all of us here at the Fins Tailgate is like, subscribe, share the show. Comment on it. Jump in if you want. We won't say no to anybody. If you got some stuff that we don't really think needs to be said, we might mute you a little bit. But most of the part, we're going to let you talk for free and do whatever you want to do. But before we go any further, I do want to list out the Dolphins awards that were given out today. Thank you so much for joining in, too. I really appreciate it. We will have a special be talking about a special giveaway here a little bit later in the show. But for those of you that are new here, we like to keep it light. We like to have some fun. This is my first time rolling solo, but the more the merrier. The more people in the comments, the more it'll make it so much fun. But Jalen Waddle became the first rookie since Zach Thomas in 1996 to win the Dan Marino MVP award for the team. The sheer amount of joy on Jalen Waddle's face when Dan told him himself that he was winning the award was just really cool. I really like that kid. We'll get more on him coming up into this Patriots game later. Jason McCourty, he got the Don Shula Leadership Award, and he was actually only the 7th Dolphin to ever win that award, being their first time on the first season on the team. So that's really cool that his teammates saw that he brought the leadership, and he may not have had that huge role this season, but he still was able to win that award, and just shows the respect he has from his peers. And then we had the Landon Roberts won the Ed Block Courage Award. And I believe that, it goes to the guy that maybe came back from some adversity from the previous season. He did tear his ACL and had to rehab through that. I was watching his interview today, and they asked him about it. And, something I didn't realize, and I don't know if y'all did, but Miami Dolphins actually signed him before he ever had a recovery plan, or if they knew that he was going to be able to rehab his ACL. And so that showed a lot of faith in him from the Dolphins organization. Really, really cool that he was able to win that award. It's a family member's favorite, one of his favorite players. Really, it's just my favorite player. I love watching him hit the hole. Landon Roberts, when he diagnoses the run and he knows where it's coming, I mean, they don't go anywhere. They go straight back. He doesn't allow any progress. It's really, really fun to watch him play, and so I'm really happy that he was able to win that award. And then we also had the last award was to another rookie, Mr. Jalen Phillips. He got the Nat Moore Community Service Award. And what I took from this, I was watching his interview as well. And for being a young guy, he's so put together, and he's so community focused. And he was talking about how when he was at the Hurricanes, when he was playing for Miami, started back at UCLA, that it was just he made it a point to use his platform to really try and reach out and help those around him that needed it. And now that he's in the NFL and he has a bigger platform, he's taken it to the next level. And the team noticed, I mean, these awards are all voted on by the teammates, and they recognize that this rookie is going above and beyond to do community service and to give back to the community. And I think it was the Lotus House. It was his favorite. He said it's an after-school program / shelter for less fortunate kids, or kids that don't have the opportunity to have somebody look after them, or maybe further their learning after school gets out. And so he really spends a lot of time there. But as far as those awards, I just thought it was really cool. We had 2 of our young rookies from this year that are making a name for themselves with the team already, and the players are already showing their respect for them. And it's really neat because Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips, if everything goes right, they should be here for 5, 10 years, maybe 15 years, depending on health and all that stuff. But really neat for me to see 2 rookies win an award in their first season. But I also watched a couple more of the interviews. I jumped on Miami Sports Network earlier, and we got to watch the Tua interview. And what I took from the Tua interview was that, man, until the end, he didn't even crack a smile. His charisma was gone. He looked like he was just done, irritated, didn't want to answer the questions, didn't care what they were asking. I just felt like that guy is so beat up by all the rumors, lack of performance. He kept mentioning the lack of consistency with the offense. And, man, it just didn't look like he just did. I don't feel like he wants to be here anymore. And I hope that's not right. He mentioned that he loves the guys in the locker room and everything, but that interview just didn't do anything to really just make me feel like Tua was okay. I feel like it's all weighing on him. And he's talking about the Patriots game and trying to break him down, but he just didn't look the same. What we all fell in love with when he first came in was his charisma, his smile, his energy, his positivity, his upbeat, making it funny and cracking little jokes in the press conferences. But today, man, it was hard to watch. Just somebody there's no joy on his face whatsoever. And I know that last game probably is weighing on him pretty bad. He's the hardest on himself than anybody else can be on him. And I know he wants to succeed. And I hope he does eventually. And, if it's in Miami, it's my quarterback. I'm going to support him. But if it's not in Miami, I have no doubt he still has a little bit of skill set that can be grown upon and turned into a serviceable and a viable franchise quarterback. It just may not be in Miami. We'll discuss that here in a little bit. But before I go any further, I do want to introduce my special guest and say a few things about him before I bring him on. This man is by far I owe him all the credit in the world for me becoming who I am and everything that it entails, the way he raised me, the knowledge he was able to share with me along the years. My dad, his name is, he's my favorite person in the world. He's my best friend. I'm so excited to bring him on and let y'all get to pick his brain and hear some of the stories he has, because these are stories you probably ain't ever heard. But without further ado, I want to introduce Bullet Bob and say, how you doing, Pops?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on tonight. I truly appreciate this. I know this is a first for you, but you look good, man. You look like you're having a good day.
It's been a good day.
Awesome. So, I'm just going to jump right into it, Dad. There's a lot of stuff going around this organization right now as far as the future, where the blame is to be placed and everything. I just really want to get your opinion on the state of the team right now and what you think the future looks like and what you want to try and do, or what you think they should do, or what you hope they're going to do. And really, I'm just going to give you the floor and go ahead. Yeah. Thank you so much, JC. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Share it with us. Jump on YouTube and jump in the conversation if you want. But yeah, for sure. Give me your opinion, Dad.
Well, sitting here thinking, this team kind of reminds me when we had Tannehill. Every year there's been a different offensive coordinator. Every year with Tua, he's had somebody different, not the same. I mean, you cannot thrive if you don't have a consistent offense, the same offense every year. Look how well Tannehill's done in Tennessee. Granted, he has a running game, but it's the same offensive coordinator every year.
Yep. And Tua in his press conference, it's just to touch on your point, Tua in his press conference kept mentioning consistency, and I was trying to read between the lines, and I'm wondering if that's what he means. Different offensive coordinator from last year, and the multiple offensive coordinators. Really, there's three of them, and who's calling the game plan, who's calling the plays. That lack of consistency. You've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, your coaching staff has to stay the same. Successful teams have the same coaching staff year after year after year. They don't keep changing. They don't keep changing head coaches. They don't keep changing defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators. Those guys are the same. Look at the offensive coordinator in New England. How long has he been there?
Yeah, Josh McDaniels killing it.
Yeah, and look what he's done with the quarterback he has this year. I mean, they went from a losing season last year to a winning season this year.
And the playoffs, too.
It's
pretty impressive.
Consistency. Same playbook every year.
So does that blame lay on Flores or Greer for the lack of consistency in the coaching?
Well, I think Flores makes the coaching decisions. Okay. He makes them. He's the one that chooses it. He's the one that went with a 2 offensive coordinators, which does not ever work. I've never heard of it before. This is the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think they're college coordinators personally trying to coach an NFL game.
I have a question. How many people are talking into his head?
Sorry, Dad. I'm showing Savannah that you're on the screen. I'm really happy that you're here tonight. I was just trying to brag on you for Savannah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree with you. My biggest problem with Flores right now is I love the guy, but there's no, like as you said, there's no consistency in the play calling. I think it's probably changing every week who's going to call the plays or who's developing the game plan. And then when he allows the defensive coordinator to call the plays when it's proven that he should be calling the plays because he is the one that has gotten this defense playing the way it's supposed to play. And I mean, he was the guru in New England. So
yeah,
I do agree with you. Do you think that Greer needs to have more input in the coaching?
Yeah, I don't think he should have any input in coaching. I mean, if it wasn't for the draft class this year, it would be awful.
Yeah, I agree with that. He saved us.
Jalen Phillips and Waddle. I mean,
yeah, definitely, guys. To get in on the conversation on YouTube, the link's gonna be posted. Post your comments. Thanks so much, JC, again for stopping in. But yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's the guy drafting the people. Supposedly, the scouts are telling him. I mean, he's had some good picks. I mean, we've got some good players out of it, but we blew every offensive lineman pick. They all are awful.
Yeah, well, Robert Hunt's doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's
one of the highest graded right guards in football.
Yeah. What's amazing is that our offensive line is graded higher at running the ball than they are at pass blocking, and we don't run the ball.
Ain't that the truth? I got a question on running the ball real quick. No, go ahead if you got something else.
No, it's just odd that we throw more passes. I mean, we fall into the thing that the NFL says, oh, we're a pass-happy league, so we have to pass. If you keep the ball away from the other team, you're going to win.
And you always talk about Vince Lombardi. You find a play that works, just run it until they stop it.
Yeah, you keep doing it. And you got a running back that last game that was averaging 7 yards a carry, and he touched the ball, what,
7 times.
7 times.
Yeah.
7 yards a carry, 7 times. I mean.
So, and I want a small tangent real quick because this was mentioned on the show, Miami Sports Network, is Philip Lindsay and Duke Johnson. If we get to see a little bit more from Philip Lindsay in this last game, and maybe he looks like he is getting back to form from before the injury, are you okay with the combination of Philip Lindsay and Duke Johnson, being that they're cheap options and you don't really have to spend the money on the running back position?
It depends who's available in the draft.
So you want to build through the draft for running back?
Yeah, I mean, look at the running backs we've passed on.
Oh, man, I've been saying it wrong. Hang on. Yes, running backs we passed on, but it's Miami Sports Fanatics Show. Can't be getting Gio and Batman mad at me. Yeah, it's Miami Sports Fanatics Show. Thanks, El Capitan. But go ahead. Yeah, look who we passed on.
Imagine if we had Jonathan Taylor.
Now, question. Do you think he replicates – because Indy had a good offensive line. Do you think he replicates what he's doing this year here?
Our run blocking is one of the highest in the league.
Okay.
The rating of the offensive line.
Yeah.
You just keep – Indy's been careful with him. They've limited his carries the last few years. They limit how many times he touches the ball, which is good because he ran at a boatload in college.
Oh, boy, ain't that true. That Wisconsin,
yeah,
I think he had like 300 carries in college, which is dumb.
I mean, you look at, what is it, guy for the Titans? Derrick Henry. The man's a beast.
Biggest, fastest dude I've seen in my lifetime.
Yep.
No,
and the last game, I mean, I didn't see much of it. Saw a few clips of it, especially the one where Tua lost the ball.
Yeah, just went back to throw it and just dropped it.
I think there's something wrong with his hand. The way you describe overthrows and everything, I don't think he's gripping the football.
So El Capitan brings us up quite often is his hand size. And, that was a big deal with Kyler Murray coming into the NFL was the size of his hands, and they made a huge deal about it. But maybe that contributed, but I still think maybe they're just not talking about real quick. Dustin Newsome, what percentage do you believe the Dolphins have at making it to the Super Bowl this year? None. They've been completely eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question, Dustin.
No, but Drew Brees had small hands too.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I'm not trying to make the excuse, but I'm just saying, like, oh, it's a joke. Thanks for keeping me on my toes, Dustin. But so. On to Tua. I know that you've kind of been a Tua supporter. You've seen the good. You've recognized the good. I know you've listened to me talk about the bad, but from a lifelong Dolphins fan who's seen in our opinion, the best ever to play this game, and Dan Marino, and you got to see Jay Fiedler and Henne and Tannehill and all the quarterbacks we've gone through, Dante Culpepper, all of them, passing on Drew Brees. Is Tua, do you believe he's the guy for Miami to move forward with?
Don't know. I mean, we know he can move around in the pocket, which is a great thing for a quarterback. We know he's not going to run unless he has to. But until we get an offensive line that can pass block, I mean, 2.5 seconds release time.
Yeah.
I know you said he had a long time in this last game or whatever. I still think there's something wrong with the hand.
So, but I'm gonna keep digging. Is he the guy that we move forward with?
I couldn't tell you if he is or not. He didn't get a fair shake last year.
Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate you, man.
I don't have a clue. Whether
do you want to see more? Do you think it's right by the? Do we need? Does the organization need to do right by him and give him another year?
I'd say yeah. I mean, there's some quarter. How long did it take Josh Allen finally come around to what he's at?
2 years.
2 years. Can't count last year for Tua.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. He wasn't healthy. He wasn't 100%.
Okay.
So you give him Peyton Manning, his first year in the league, I think threw 14 or 15 interceptions.
Oh, I think it was 20 something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he was awful his first year. And how long did it take Peyton Manning before he won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, damn near his whole career.
Yep, long time, and then he got him almost really quick back-to-back ones.
Yep.
So
okay, so about Tua, this is an unprecedented offseason, Dad. There's 3 top 7 quarterbacks that are going to be available, that potentially could be available in either trade or sign situations with Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. And then I'll throw top 15 quarterbacks and Kirk Cousins in there. And, Kirk Cousins' numbers, they may not be great, but they're not terrible. So do you think that
Kirk Cousins can't win a playoff game?
Okay. You think the lights are on bright, he doesn't play? When the lights were brightest on Tua, he didn't play. So
no, I don't know. If all the quarterbacks named, the only one I'd about going after would be Deshaun
Watson. Yeah, and so Daniel, to your point, Daniel Taylor, do you think we'll go after Deshaun Watson? I think, at one point there was a deal in place pending his litigation issues. So I think we're going after Watson. I remember Stephen Ross's comment about how I'm 81. I don't want to wait any longer. I don't care about the draft capital. I'm trying to win now. And he may not have said that, but that's kind of where he's at, and it's behind the scenes. That's what he's been saying. So, Daniel, yes, I think we're going after. I think we're going to make a push for Deshaun Watson. I think we're going to put a feeler out for Aaron Rodgers, and that's a whole different story. I think that's a package deal with Devontae Adams. But the only one I don't want to go after is Russell Wilson. I actually wouldn't be terribly mad with Kirk Cousins. I don't think he puts us over the top, but I think it's more entertaining football than what we've watched this year.
If you're going to go after any of them, first thing you do, of course, you trade away the future for a while to get Deshaun Watson. But then you've got to go sign at least 2 top-tier offensive linemen, 2 tackles or 2 guards, one of the 2.
Okay.
So you have to go get 2, because I know we got a lot of salary cap, but if you're going to get Deshaun Watson, you keep Gesicki. Yeah, he will make Gesicki look like a world beater. And even what's his name? Number 11. God,
Devontae Parker.
Yeah, Devontae Parker. Even him, he'll look good because of the jump ball stuff that Deshaun Watson can throw.
Man, that's a brilliant point. I mentioned that on one of my first shows on this website. Daniel Taylor, I think it would be one of the best decisions we make to go after one of the quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson is the guy I want in my book. I'm on record saying that. I wouldn't mind Aaron Rodgers. I actually saw a poll on Facebook on a Miami Dolphins group, had over 1,000 votes of who they would want, and it was Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Deshaun Watson, and the overwhelming majority was Aaron Rodgers. So and for me, that's a 3-year, maybe 5-year fix. Deshaun Watson could get to 10 years. Tony, what up, Tony? Bullet Bob. Being that you're a more experienced Dolphins fan, I understand that Bob Greasy won a Super Bowl, but in terms of his play style, do you think Tua is similar to Bob?
Bob Greasy could throw a better deep ball, I think. But, the Dolphins run more play action pass than anybody in the league. And they're very successful off of it when they run. And that's what made Bob Greasy so good is he had probably a stable of 3 running backs behind him. I mean, you had a halfback blocking for a fullback. Jim Kick at 220 pounds blocking for a 340-pound running back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Larry Zonka.
Yeah. So I think it would be, he's kind of like Bob Greasy. I think Bob Greasy's a bit bigger. I think he was a little bit bigger. But yeah, Bob, hand the ball off, hand the ball off, hand the ball off, and then throw it when needed.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel thinks they're 2 different quarterbacks. Why do you think he says that? You think there's something to that?
I guess because of the RPO.
Okay.
There was no such thing when Bob Greasy was there. It was either he'd go to line of scrimmage, run the play that was called, or change it, and it was either hand it off or throw it. And there was play action in there, but yeah, nobody. And these days, quarterbacks on the play action, oh my gosh. Back then, they'd fake a pass, hide that ball on their hip, and they'd stand back there while everybody's running after the running back looking for somebody to throw it to.
Yeah.
That ball was hidden. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, and Tony says because of the track record, again, I would rather have Aaron Rodgers over Watson. I understand Watson is younger. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Finish your point, Dad.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just the nuances of the game. I mean, RPO, stick it in there, pull it out. If you watch it, it really doesn't slow down pass rushers. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he still has only 2. He has maybe 3 seconds on average to throw the ball, even with the RPO. So you're right on that.
Yeah, I mean the nuance. I mean, do you see Tom Brady do RPO?
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls has he won?
Yeah.
Okay.
6. I mean, he's got 7 now, right? Jesus.
Yeah, like I said to you before, name me any quarterback in the last 10, 15 years that was a dual threat, that ran the ball a lot and threw it, that has won a Super Bowl.
Some that have gotten there, but yeah, I mean, I can't name. Donovan McNabb, but he never won it. Colin Kaepernick, but he never won it. But I see. I know Russell Wilson would rather throw the ball, but I do consider him a dual threat quarterback. I mean, he does have the ability to scramble, and Aaron Rodgers is shifty as can be, but a true dual threat. I see what you're going on that. Yeah.
But both those guys scramble to throw the ball. They don't scramble to run. Okay.
Yeah, and I get that. They are a throw first quarterback.
Watch them. They'll scramble. They'll buy as much time before they have to turn up the field. And Aaron Rodgers will throw it away before he'll run.
Cam Newton, I got a guy in here, Ranger Williams, trying to say Cam Newton. He never won it, bro. He just got there and lost and forgot to dive on the ball to at least have a chance to win the game. And I want to go back to Daniel. He said the quarterbacks these days have more protection than they did back then, as far as getting hit and things like that. You can't go low on a quarterback.
You had Steve Young. Steve Young was the closest thing to a dual threat quarterback, but he threw first before he ran the ball.
Yeah, look at the numbers. Prolific passer.
Yeah, and he just had the great wide receivers. He throw a slant to Jerry Rice, he turned it into an 80-yard touchdown.
So Tony, I just mentioned it, and you're bringing up Russell Wilson, and I asked him that. Do you really think Russell Wilson is a true dual threat? Because I don't see him calling run plays, no power runs. I don't see him calling options. I don't see him calling the plays that showcase his legs. I feel like he really is just he wants to throw the ball, let Russ cook. That's what I've been hearing. And Tony says again, honestly, I think the last dual threat arm to win a dual arm threat to win a Super Bowl with Steve Young. Bob and I correct on my information. Yeah, he asking you if he's correct. That's the last one to win one, right?
Yeah, that's the closest dual threat quarterback that's possibly won it. But if you watch him, they didn't call running plays for him. He just scrambled and ran. Yeah. There was no calling anything.
Yeah, and Daniel, so here, and I'm gonna touch on this, and I'm gonna get my dad to give his input on it. So here's why I wouldn't be mad with Aaron Rodgers, because arguably he comes in as the best quarterback we've had other than Dan ever. I think he immediately comes in and has that reputation because of his. My dad and I have talked about it for countless years. His arm it's second to Dan Marino, and I think it may be a little bit. I've argued with him about it being a little bit better than Dan just because of the angles and things that he can throw it at. Leonardo's I'm not even going to try to butcher that name, but he says Mahomes and Rodgers, but they ain't dual threat either. See, dual threat quarterback, it's like Cam Newton or Colin Kaepernick or Lamar Jackson, where they average 10 runs a game. And
Yeah.
I just don't see we just don't
All
have any of
running
those.
play. They call running plays for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so, and real quick, and then we'll get back to that. But on the Deshaun Watson younger than Aaron Rodgers, and I get that, but at the same time, Aaron Rodgers comes in and immediately makes us a contender in the AFC East and possibly the entire AFC. And I still believe it'll be a package deal, regardless if it is or not. I think Aaron Rodgers is great, but as I said before, that's 3, maybe 5 years of production you get from him. Deshaun Watson gets you to that 10, 12, he could play till he's 36, 37 years old, 38 years old. If it's like Brady, he plays till he's 40 something. But Tony wants to know, who would we bring in as OC if we bring in Aaron Rodgers, in your honest opinion? Is there an OC out there you've got your eyes on, Dad?
No, I haven't really paid much attention to him. Stay away from the college guys. Go pilfer somebody from another team. And by the way, new rules in the NFL. You can interview during the playoffs. You can interview during the Super Bowl or whatever. The team gives you permission. You can talk to anybody now, but the team has to give permission.
And Anthony, my honest opinion, if it was possible, which I don't think it is, because I think he gets a head coaching job before he takes another OC position, but I would love Eric Bieniemy out of Kansas City. I think that guy's an offensive genius. I mean, he's literally learned as much as he can from Andy Reid, and he's got that. They have similar weapons to us. They got a big, pass catching tight end. They've got a shifty receiver in Tyreek Hill. They just don't have the big guy on the edge like Devontae Parker. I mean, he's making Demarcus Robinson look great, and they did sign Josh Gordon, so he's an outside threat. But and for offensive coordinators, man, I think you're going after any top 10 offense. You want to at least talk to their offensive coordinator, see if you can pay them more, maybe lure them out. But yeah, Daniel says, I don't know, Dan Marino have one of the best arms ever and one of the best. Yeah, I agree with that. Kyler. Oh, hang on. I got to get to Tony real quick, and then we'll talk about Dan. He's talking about Kellen Moore from Dallas. Do you think he leaves to be an offensive coordinator, or is his next stop a head coach?
I don't know. He'd be a good one, but I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. Hadn't he had one before?
No, he's never. The closest he got was being in the conversation with Boise State.
I don't think he's been in the league long enough.
So, do you want, because this got mentioned on, I think it was Stephen D's show, Clock Blockers, but they were talking about how, I can't remember what show it was. It may have been on ours, the Fins Tailgate, but somebody was talking about how everybody we brought in, even Flores, their first time coaches in that position, not Godsey. I understand he was an offense coordinator somewhere else, but they're bringing in guys that don't really have that experience, don't have
That's a bad mistake when it comes to offensive and defensive head coach. Yes, you can get new, but you want experience at the offensive coordinator and at the defensive coordinator position.
Yeah.
I mean, you want experience, and at the NFL level, totally different story as players find out they're bigger and they're faster than college.
Ranger Williams wants to know if Moore denied y'all's offer for an interview. That was Jacksonville. Miami hasn't reached out to anybody, not that I know of or that I've heard. So,
yeah.
So back to Dan Marino and Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers the closest to Dan Marino that we can get, or is Deshaun Watson?
I'd say accuracy, they're probably both the same. I mean, Dan Marino didn't throw the balls like Rodgers does and drops them in. Dan Marino just put them in there with arm strength, and they were on a line. I mean, a defensive back, if he just turned his head one time, that ball was to the receiver. I mean,
what up, Tony?
Bob, actually, I agree with you. Honestly, Aaron has the best off-platform throws I've ever seen, but Dan
can't barely hear him.
Huh?
Speaking to your mic more, Tony.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Better.
Okay. What I was saying before is, honestly, with Aaron, he has better off-platform throws, but Dan was a better natural thrower of the football, in my honest opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. Dan, when he got that ball, it was up and ready to be thrown as soon as it was snapped to him. I mean, he didn't carry it down at his side, didn't carry it anywhere near him. He just had that up there, that ball, and he had the quickest release in the NFL. I mean, what was the 16-game season? They gave up no more than 7 sacks in a 16-game season.
No time to get to him.
No.
Kohler says Watson is Lamar with true football IQ, and I actually think Lamar wants to be Watson. I don't think Watson is Lamar. I think Watson has more of an ability to control the game with his arm than Lamar does, but that's a different story for a different day.
You
But
think
thanks for your comments, caller.
some of those throws that Watson has made being tackled or running, I mean, puts the ball. I mean,
to me, Watson is like Michael Vick with a better arm.
oh yeah, yes, much better arm.
But see, and he goes back to, I still think Deshaun Watson wants to throw before he runs, though. And the quarterback, Michael Vick and Lamar, they'd rather run first.
But Mike, you're underestimating. Michael Vick had a cannon when he was.
I loved his arm. Yeah.
Yeah,
but he wasn't a throw first quarterback, is what I'm getting at. He didn't become throw first till he went to Philly at the end of his career, I believe.
Not trying to put down Michael Vick, but he didn't have the football IQ that Deshaun Watson has.
Hey, Culler getting his comment coming out of a different mouth, but that's what Culler said. He said Watson is Lamar with true football IQ, and I agree with that. I think the football IQ in Deshaun Watson is way higher.
And Mike, honestly, when it comes to the OC, I agree with you guys. The OC with Aaron specifically, I don't think he can have an inexperienced OC, and he can be. He's like a Tom Brady, where he calls the offense once he can be the one audibling out of the plays and stuff like that. I think Aaron is one of these guys that doesn't really need. He's played in different systems throughout his career that he doesn't really need a specific system. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think he comes in, he runs his own game plan.
It would still be nice to have, though, an experienced offensive coordinator.
Does he have the football? Does Aaron have the football IQ of a Peyton Manning, or Peyton's on another level?
I think Peyton might have been on another level. He's on another level than most people. I mean, the only person Peyton Manning could never fool, and he said he hated playing against him, was Zach Thomas.
And we will talk about him here in a little bit, but yeah, Peyton Manning's football IQ was, he could have been the coach on every team he played, basically. He was able to, I just came in, the amount of audibles that would come out of his mouth, the amount of times he would change the play just to get the defense off guard. I mean, Peyton Manning had one of the best football minds at the QB position I've ever seen, in my opinion.
I'm surprised, and I read somewhere he didn't have a high Wonderlic score, which is the weirdest thing.
And did Dan Marino. And Dan Marino, I think he went to next to the last pick the year he was drafted.
In the first round, yeah.
A bunch of quarterbacks drafted ahead of him, and not many of them stuck around.
Some of them became good coaches, though. Like, I think Ken Anderson, the guy he faced with the Jets, I forgot the guy's name. My God.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember neither. There were some great games. Unfortunately, my poor luck, I never got to see Dan Marino play.
What?
The one year I got to see him play, he tore his Achilles tendon, and that's when the Dolphins beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day 17-16 in the Ice Bowl.
You were at the game. I was watching it on TV.
Yeah, I was at that game.
But, and Culler says A-Rod has mastered the physics of throwing a football. Some of his placements are unreal. I'm going to tell you right now, we live in Texas. I watched that playoff game against Dallas when Aaron Rodgers needed a hope and a prayer to win. And he was rolling out, falling down, and dropped that ball through a bucket to Jermichael Finley on the sideline. And I was like, oh, wow, that was a throw I ain't never seen. Leon Lett. Yep, Leon Lett grabbed that ball and made a fool out of himself.
Yeah, he touched it.
Yeah, and to me, when I look at Aaron Rodgers, he has, like, I think he has a stronger arm than Brett.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I mean, he can throw that ball. He gets out there, gets his legs planted, that ball's gone.
He's Brett without the turnovers. He's Brett without the turnovers.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think Rodgers has learned to not take that unnecessary throw because he can make so many of the throws anyways that the unnecessary ones don't even factor into his decision anymore. Tony, this is a good conversation for you too. And yeah, Dan Marino, Daniel, we touched on that. Dan Marino definitely has one of the quickest releases in NFL history. But we were talking about Peyton Manning and his football IQ. And you mentioned how Peyton Manning, hated playing Zach Thomas. And Brady has said the same thing, that the toughest teams he ever faced were the Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor-led Dolphins. So Zach Thomas is up for Hall of Fame again. And Dad, I know you have a strong feeling about this, but do you think he gets in, and how frustrated are you that he hasn't gotten in yet? And Tony, I want your answer after Bullet Bob.
Oh yeah, I think he should have been in a long while back. The only reason he didn't lead the league every year in tackles, and sometimes he did, was because of Ravens linebacker Ray
Ray
Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah.
They were right there every year, around about 200 tackles every year, both of them. I mean, I've watched Zach Thomas literally hit people hard. He knocked them out. They were out before they hit the ground. I mean, This is when you could actually hit people.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think? Why hasn't he gotten in yet? Are you frustrated about it too?
I'm frustrated, and I'm going to say this. It's because he played in the same era as guys like Brian Urlacher, Junior Seau,
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
And who's the guy who had a long career, the linebacker that played with the Steelers during that time?
Oh man, I'll remember here in a minute. Hopefully, I know who you're talking about.
Jeremiah Trotter.
Jeremiah Trotter. There you go. He moved to Philly after that.
But Zach Thomas had more tackles than Urlacher in his career.
No, but you don't understand what I'm saying, because
I know he was overshadowed by those guys.
Yeah, because they had a bigger personality, and Zach didn't really have that. Zach was more of a reserve type of guy, where he let his performance talk all his trash, but he didn't do all the trash talking that you heard like a Seau or a Urlacher. Urlacher talked a lot of trash. You guys agree?
I agree.
Yeah, the outstanding personality.
So I got a question. So is the lack of personality going to keep him out this year? Because there's a lot of good names on that list. Do you think he finally gets in?
I hope he does.
I don't think so. I'm a Dolphins fan. I hate saying that. I don't think so.
Yeah, but Zach got the sister Jason Taylor swooped her up real quick.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey,
you guys, Richard, you bring up Zach Thomas. Do you think Richmond Webb makes the Hall of Fame, Bullet Bob?
He should. I mean, he was good. He was brought in to do exactly what Don Shula wanted to do: protect Dan Marino. Dan Marino didn't like handing the ball off. He didn't like having a running game. He wanted the ball to be in his hands all the time.
El Capitan says he's a massive Zach fan. It's the whole reason he fell in love with football on and off the field. Shit, this show don't happen without Zach. Kohler's down here saying he already thought Webb was in.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, but maybe hopefully he does get in. They both need to be in my opinion. I didn't get to watch either of them play other than Zach, but Richmond Webb, the proof is in the pudding. He's a Miami Dolphin legend.
Well, me and my son have argued about this. I love these guys that, they're eligible their first year. They don't get into the Hall of Fame, but 10 years later they get in. And I thought, did their stats get better?
You know what it is, Bullet Bob? The analytics is starting to catch up. Like with Zach specifically, the analytics are showing that he was a better linebacker than Seau, Trotter, and
Urlacher. I mean,
see Kohler. Go ahead. I was going to say Kohler mentions about Richmond Webb that Sims is in, and Sims and Webb's were a package deal. How they let Sims in but not Webb. Yeah, that makes a good point there too.
Another guy that pisses me off, that I understand the media is the one that votes the Hall of Fame in, but Kuchenberg should have been in a long time ago, before he passed away. That's another guy that makes me mad that is not in the Hall of Fame. That's a travesty. I understand the media hated him, and
oh, sorry. I was laughing at Daniel's comment, Tony, not at you. You can keep going.
But do you guys agree that's a travesty that Bob Kuchenberg never made it to the Hall of Fame?
Let's put it this way. It's a travesty that every starter of the 72 team is not in the Hall of Fame.
Get him. The greatest team in history. Hey, so, Tony, you know the story of why Zach's head's square, right?
Dropped on his head or something?
No, Dad, go ahead. I told this story a few weeks ago, but I'm gonna let my dad. It's one of my favorite stories my dad ever told me about this gentleman. So go ahead and tell him the story, Dad.
Oh God, I can't remember, son. You tell it.
Okay, well, he was 2.5 years old, and his stepdad, he was outside playing in the front yard, and he fell down, and his stepdad backed over his head, and then he was like, "What was that?" Felt the bump and drove right back over Zach's head. Took him to the hospital. It wasn't any major brain injury or anything, but that's why his head was square, because he got run over by a car, and he was still in the NFL after dealing with that when he was 2.5 years old, man.
Probably why he doesn't have CTE or whatever it is, because his brain can't bounce around.
And he can't bounce; it's just stuck in place.
Oh, good Lord. What part of Texas is Zach from, by chance?
He's
Texas Tech.
from the Panhandle.
Yeah, love it.
Galveston?
No, Lubbock, up north.
Way up north.
Yeah, when you said the Panhandle, I was assuming Galveston. That's
no, the Panhandle is the little square part, the little rectangle part on the top of the Texans.
Okay.
But Daniel says, I remember watching Zach Thomas jump over and jump over the offensive line and tackled the Raiders running back in the backfield as soon as he got the ball. Man, there's so many plays that we could just sit here and reminisce on. And thanks, Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. That story is one.
What was the last great? Would you say Zach was the last great linebacker for the Dolphins?
Oh yeah, by any means. Nobody is gonna. I mean,
Nick Bonacani.
Nick Bonacani before him, but yeah, I mean, linebackers back then were 220 pounds, if they were lucky.
Okay.
Now you got them coming in at 280 and have the speed. Yeah, Porter was good, but I mean, Zach consistently, almost every game, double digit. I mean, right at 200 tackles, and it was in a 16-game season, 200 tackles a year. Okay, I mean,
didn't one of his teammates in that core have 100 tackles too?
Who?
Didn't one of his? I understand Zach, but didn't one of his teammates on that same linebacker core have 200 tackles that year too? And he was, I think he won the defensive player of the year or something like that because of the tackles and stuff like that.
Well, I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at that one. That'd be interesting to find out if we had 200 tackle or 100 tackle linebackers.
You want to talk about tackle? Does anybody know who has the most sacks in a season for the Dolphins?
Hey, hang on 1 second, and I'm going to let maybe Tony can answer that. But El Capitan says Zach was a freak, though. He's a smaller guy, straight wrecking fools. Well, he went to Tech, Wreckham Tech, so, I mean, he better have been wrecking fools.
I'm going to say Jason Taylor.
Oh, yeah, he did it, but it was done back in the 70s before him by Bill Stanfield. 18 and a half.
Oh, Bill
Stanfield.
Bill Stanfield?
Yeah, 18 sacks in a 14-game season.
Yeah, that's probably a name you ain't heard in forever. But, yeah, in a 14-game season, that's a crazy stat.
No, wait. I've never heard. Mike, I'm your age. I'm in my 30s, man. I'm in my 30s.
Yeah. No, yeah, I haven't heard of it either. I didn't know how old you were. I'm looking at the picture, but it's a little small. It looks like a nice doe you got there, though.
Yeah, no, it's my brother's. He forced me to take that picture. I didn't want.
Speaking of Zach Thomas,
when it comes to Zach specifically,
well, I was gonna say, speaking of Zach Thomas, he played back in the Orange Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Tony. You can come back in, Tony.
No, what I'm saying, and that's another reason why Zach is overlooked because of his size as well. Being 5'11", I think. Saying that he was 6 foot was being nice. I think he's maybe 5'10", 11.
Oh, yeah. Fifth round draft.
Fifth round?
Yeah, he was drafted. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, because that's why guys like Urlacher got in before.
Ray
He's
Lewis,
like 6'5".
yeah.
Isn't Urlacher like 6'5" or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Ray Lewis.
No,
they were
Ray
all
Lewis
massive.
is the same size. Ray Lewis
is the same size as Zach, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's 5'11".
Hey, Ray Lewis, all he had to do was getting the the spotlight for doing something against the law, and then he became a household name. But that's besides the point. Zach Thomas was such a good dude. Never did anything bad off the field. Hell, he never did anything bad on the field except hurt people.
And another thing too, that he was overshadowed by Jason Taylor as well, a little bit. Do you guys agree?
Watched him knock out a lot of players.
Well, Jason Taylor had the personality. I agree with you on that. Jason Taylor had the personality, and as far as the voice on that defense, of course it was Jason Taylor. Zach Thomas, he did his talking on the field, and he did his talking when he was confusing the quarterbacks. That dude, Peyton Manning, I loved watching their battles. Peyton Manning go up there, audible, audible, audible. Zach go audible, 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 and then Peyton's go, oh crap, audible, 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 and then it was just so much fun to watch.
Well,
but
most people don't know, and Zach Thomas found out when Peyton Manning was yelling Omaha, it was just a crap. It meant nothing.
It was just
no. Payne said that during he says during his Monday Night Football broadcast that he created nonsensical words that meant nothing. It was just for fun.
And El Capitan brings up a good point. Zach don't play the politics in the media game. That's why he's not in right now. Yeah, I think that leads to our point. He was overshadowed by these guys that had that boisterous personality, and Daniel says it. Period. That shouldn't be argued by anybody. If anybody does have an argument, they ain't been watching Miami football very long. But he was the best linebacker we had for sure.
Yeah, Zach, and honestly, I'm not saying he's at the level, but Channing Crowder was pretty consistent.
I liked Crowder a lot, but still Zach was,
I'm not saying they're at the same level. I'm saying the consistency is what I'm saying of having consistent 100 tackle seasons every year.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Comparing, you guys agree?
I agree with you on that.
We had another good linebacker people don't talk about much neither. Can't remember how long he played, but Brian Cox.
Yeah, actually, Daniel Taylor just brought that up in the comments and said Cox was one of the best we had too, and that's 100% true.
Yeah, and Brian Cox said if it wasn't for Shula, I think he said he wouldn't be in the NFL today.
And Mr. Brian Cox Jr. is going to University of Florida, and he's pretty good too.
Oh,
hey, there's some college news. Yeah, Brian Cox's son is going to be going to Florida.
Oh, he's already there.
Oh, he's already there. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Brenton Cox. Yeah. Is that who you're talking about? Brenton?
Yeah. Mr.
But, so, we were talking about Zach Thomas in the Orange Bowl, and, Dad, that was the stadium you grew up in. That was the stadium where you went all the time. You got some good stories, man. If you want to share a couple of them from the old days and the glory days of the Orange Bowl, go right ahead.
I can tell you one thing that was special about the Orange Bowl is the fans were on top of the field. Okay. I went there, and when that stadium started chanting defense for the defense to play, you felt the stadium move. It literally rocked. And even at the open end of the stadium, teams would complain that they couldn't hear. And when you got into the closed end, it was another story. But it was – people today would hate it. There were no escalators. You walked up the ramp. You walked down the ramps. And they were those just little circular things on the side. I mean, it was in the University of Miami, basically, and it was in Little Havana. And it was just stadiums like that. It's like getting rid of the Red Sox or getting rid of Wrigley Field. You can't, because you can't beat those stadiums. I mean,
yeah, people were pissed when they tore down old Yankee Stadium.
Yes. Yep. I mean, there are some stadiums that it's just the Orange Bowl. It's the Dolphins should have never left. I understand why they left, but they built a bad field. The people are too far from the field. They're not on top of the field. I know they built the stadium to do other things, soccer and stuff like that, but it should have been built number one for football.
Yeah, and honestly, Bob, I agree with you. I talked to one of my friends. He went to college in Michigan, and he used to go to the games in Michigan, and then he says going to games in the Orange Bowl is a lot more. It's a lot more intimate compared to going to the big house in Michigan. And stuff like that.
The Orange Bowl was, it was just amazing. I mean, it was one of the best places I've ever been to. And I've been to the new Cowboy Stadium. I went to the old Cowboy Stadium. I haven't been to Hard Rock yet, but just looking at it, I mean, in the old days, the closed into the Orange Bowl, the fans were still right on top of the field. There wasn't much room. You ran out the back of the end zone, you ran into a wall.
I can just see people running too fast and not being able to stop. Boom! But hey, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, no, and I think I can't remember. Oh, it was Dion. He told a funny story. He didn't realize there was no pads on the wall, and he just ran right full speed into the wall when he was in college.
Hey, real quick, I do want to, not to go completely off topic, El Capitan says we still walk down them. We'll maybe stumble, laugh aloud, and the new stadium is the closest yet. That's why we need change and make big-time moves because we ready. They got the stadium and everything is basically what he's saying, and I agree. But, hey, we are, guys, thank you all so much for everybody watching. You know, like, subscribe, share our channel. Come back for more. We are giving away a free Madden this week. Free copy of Madden. It doesn't matter what platform it is. Cash and tickets with Big Kev and Oz and forgetting the other guy's name right now. But Brandon the Bookie, the guy. Yeah, why can I forget his name? But they released the first name on their show Tuesday this week. Might have been Monday or Tuesday. I released the second name on my show last night, the second episode of Drop the Mic, and the third name is going to be released on Friday on the Fins Tailgate. And the way you win the game is you have to be the first to comment after we release the third name, the first to comment with all three names. And, if you want to put where you heard it, each name at, on which show, that'd be cool too. I'm not going to repeat the names because I definitely want you to go back and check it out and find the name because they're mixed inside the show. There's no really rhyme or reason as to when it comes up. But
since you guys live in Texas, I have a question. Since you guys live in Texas, did you guys ever go to games in the Cotton Bowl?
Oh yeah. I went to Houston and Boston College one year when I was freezing to death, and it was an amazing game.
Is the Cotton Bowl close to the Orange Bowl as far as the atmosphere, Dan?
No, Cotton Bowl's one level. There's not multiple levels to it, but yeah, I'd say it's the way it's built. It's just one whole level that I remember. I haven't been in a long time, but yeah, I've been to a few games there. Been to a few Orange Bowl games. Nebraska and Oklahoma, Michigan and Oklahoma playing each other in the Orange Bowl. I've been to a few of them, but the Orange Bowl was just so intimate. I mean, you were right on top of the field. I mean,
you can't beat that. You can feel the sweat coming off the players.
Yeah. How far are you from Aggie Stadium, guys?
Oh, I'm a good 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
People,
I've been down there, but that's an unbelievable. I haven't got to see a game there. I've got to see the stadium, and it's amazing. I've never been to a college football stadium to see a game. Closest I've been to a college game is at TCU Stadium or the Dallas Cowboys' new stadium. But just the sheer size and enormity of Kyle Field, I think is what it's called down there in College Station. But yeah, that stadium is something.
Yeah, one of my friends,
stadium is crazy.
Yeah, well, one of I can't remember who. I talked to an old school Cowboys fan, and he said he preferred actually going to the Cotton Bowl games when the Cowboys games when they used to play in the Cotton Bowl and stuff like that over the Jerry's World because he liked the intimacy of the stadium compared to the Jerry's World and stuff like that.
Yeah, the mothership.
Do you agree?
Oh yeah. I mean, college stadiums, most of them are pretty good.
Daniel Taylor says, I remember watching Brian Cox go to Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. He'd come out the stadium flipping them off. He never cared what anybody thought about him. Hey, I like those kind of players. You need some of them on your team.
Yeah.
So, back to the Orange Bowl, Dad. You were talking about the intimacy and the closeness to the field, but one of the other cool stories was one of the parking lots saying, maybe that guy's still doing it. Obviously, it's not around the same stadium, but for college games or whatever. But tell that story about the parking lot attendant.
We parked in the same parking lot. Early in the 70s, we went to games, but late in the 70s, I had season tickets about the 35-yard line, about 30 rows up, and it was $700 for season tickets.
Oh gosh, I wish that's a game ticket now.
But we parked in the same parking spot all the time. This old guy, he had a lot next door to him across the street, and he filled his front yards up for $20 a car, and he probably put 100 cars or more in his lot. And he'd do that for 7 games, and then when it got to 8 games a year, and it was the same guy every year. We parked at the same place. It got to the point where he started recognizing people. He knew who we were. I mean, we didn't have to worry about our car.
Yeah. Hey,
So Bob, since you've been to, I was too young to remember the Orange Bowl and stuff like that. Is the one thing you hated the uncomfortable seats and stuff like that? Like how
Didn't
uncomfortable
really,
the seats were?
didn't really think about that much.
game was too good. You were standing up most of the time, I bet.
It didn't come to play. We didn't think about it much. The only thing that really killed me was when I was going to these games when I was in high school. Was go when Monday night games started at 9 o'clock. So Monday night game don't get home till 2 o'clock because I lived an hour and a half to 2 hour drive away from the Orange Bowl. So yeah,
You live pretty close to Coral Gables?
No, I lived on Lake Okeechobee.
Oh, okay. So you lived like West Palm Beach or something like that?
No. I lived on Lake Okeechobee, a little town called Clewiston, and West Palm Beach was an hour and a half drive. Going down to Miami, the Orange Bowl was 2 hours one way. I drove it every day for every home game. I drove it every Monday night game. They didn't have Thursday night games back then.
Yeah. Yeah, Kohler says, wow, that's a haul. That's a hell of a haul for season ticket.
Yeah, but hey, that's what you call the whole family. Everybody went.
So speaking of a family, this is a fan base. We like to consider ourselves a family, Dad. And Tony has been witnessing some of it too, and I'm sure El Capitan as well. But Kohler says, I'm in West Palm Beach, 50 minutes to Hard Rock. Ain't too bad. But there's a lot of division right now in this fan base. And you, Dad, and Tony, you're my age, so we haven't really ever seen anything like this. But Dad, can you ever remember a player that galvanized a fan base like Tua has? And do you think that's going to be good going forward, or do you think that that's part of the reason that maybe him and his fan base, because he brought all his own fans? Do you think that he needs to go?
I can tell you what, be honest with you, it was the quarterback we had before this.
Tannehill.
I mean, galvanized Tannehill, you either hated him or you liked him. I mean, I don't think Tannehill had the proper opportunity to be the quarterback here because, like I said, different offensive coordinator every year he was here.
He had Mike Sherman for a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, well, Mike Sherman, I'm going to tell you a quick story about that, Tony. If you don't know this about Mike Sherman being when Tannehill, I mean, obviously you mentioned A&M, maybe you do know this story, but as Tannehill was a wide receiver at A&M when Mike Sherman showed up, and Mike Sherman saw him throwing the ball in practice, and he was like, hey, man, you want to come be the quarterback? So he ended up getting Tannehill to be quarterback, and all he did was put up these phenomenal 2 seasons at A&M after never playing quarterback, maybe back at Pee Wee. And then he had the benefit of Mike Sherman following him to the NFL, to the Miami Dolphins, but then Mike Sherman didn't stay, and I think that contributed to Tannehill's up and down. But my dad and I used to talk about all the time. Tannehill had so many traits that he's showing now that made him a really good quarterback that I think you could have won around. But there, like he said, and like Tua has mentioned lately, the consistency and the coordination and the coaching was just, it wasn't there. The offensive coordinators change every year, and the head coaches changed.
Yeah, how many head coaches did Tannehill go through?
I think it was 3.
Imbecilic, what is it called? Front office personnel, like Tannenbaum and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's just
and Parcells, to an extent, I would say Parcells hindered us a little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was just going to say, guys, I don't want to cut this too short, but I do have some family time that needs to come and happen in. But Tony, man, I totally appreciate you jumping on tonight, dude. And we'll get back to this. I'm sure Bullet Bob's going to show up another night. He looked like he had a little bit of fun doing this. But Tony, I really appreciate you coming in. And Kohler and Daniel and Ranger Williams and El Capitan and everybody that commented, thank y'all so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Dad, I'm going to give you a little bit to kind of close out the show on what's your favorite Miami Dolphins moment of your lifetime. What's your favorite memory of the game you were at, or just what's your favorite moment from being a Miami Dolphins fan?
It was a playoff game against the San Diego Chargers, second longest one in history.
Go ahead and tell them more about that for the fans that don't know.
Can't remember. It was before Dan Marino's time. David Woodley was the quarterback. I think he got replaced by Don Strock. But
Thanks, Color.
yeah, the Dolphins were down 24-0 in the first quarter to San Diego, and this is when they had Eric Coryell, Dan Fouts, Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow. I can't remember the running back's name now, but they were the team that first lit up the league with throwing the football. It was all about passing it for them. And at halftime, it was 24-17. I mean, it just kept going back. It ended up in double overtime.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate you.
Second longest game in NFL history. And I couldn't speak for 2 days afterwards. I had no voice.
Hey, and Colorman's is another game that you've talked about before that I think you were at, was beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead in a wild card game, Steve DeBerg's last season.
No, I didn't go to that one.
Okay, but you do remember that game too.
I only went to the game Orange Bowl. I didn't follow the team around.
Gotcha. Did you after that game not being able to talk because it was such a crazy game, screaming, yelling, all that kind of stuff. After that, have you felt that type of excitement for a team since then, or is that just a whole different generation that maybe we just don't love? The fans don't love football that much anymore, or what?
Different generation. It is. I was thrilled to death at the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving because there were a bunch of Cowboys fans sitting in front of me. And when Leon Lett touched that football and we kicked the field goal, I just let them have it as I was walking out of the stadium.
Yeah, my dad don't. Bullet Bob never minces words when it comes to sports. He's taught me well. I ain't never used these hands, but man, I can use his mouth. And when it comes to sports, we definitely like to allow people to become educated by what we have to say when they're talking trash that they probably shouldn't talk. But the Miracle brought it back for an afternoon. Kohler says, I do remember. No, he talked about the play with Kenyon Drake getting that pitch and taking it down the sideline against the Patriots. Boy, that was so much fun. I loved watching that game.
But that you're talking about that catching that thing and that pitch and taking it down the sideline. In that playoff game against San Diego to end the half, it was a hook and ladder play, a high school play that the Dolphins ran, and it was to Nat Moore, and he pitched it to Tony Nathan, an Alabama running back.
Wow!
And he ran it in to make the score 24-17 at halftime.
That's awesome, and then ended up tying it up, and then ultimately losing. But what a hell of a game, Dad! Man, Bullet Bob. Go ahead. You got more to say?
No, go ahead. Another
okay,
time.
I was gonna say, Bullet Bob, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I hope we see you again. If y'all haven't noticed, he's got knowledge for years. He could be on here every day and still not give you all the stories about the Dolphins. So we truly appreciate you here at the Fins Tailgate coming on, Dad. Guys, thank y'all so much for everybody that participated again. Make sure you come back and watch our shows. We've got Cash and Tickets with Big Kev, Braden the Bookie, and Oz. We've got my show, Drop the Mic, with Tonk 7. And I'm Mike on the mic with El Capitan on the Fins Tailgate. We got some big things coming, guys, and y'all are the reason we keep going. And y'all, the support from y'all really helps out, and it really keeps us really motivated to keep giving y'all really great content. And make sure you talk about our channel, man. We've got this summer, we've got baseball shows coming. We've got the betting show. We're going to do fan origin stories. It's going to be a loaded summer while there's no football and the Miami Dolphins don't have a whole lot going on after the offseason, kind of settles down a little bit. We're going to have so much content for y'all to come here and be a one-stop shop for sports. Thanks again for everybody coming in. This is episode 3 of Drop the Mic, and I will see y'all next week. This is Mike on the